there's not going to be another LCS team that gets rid of me again.
Oh, here goes Devontae already in the fight, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna see some kills.
If I succeed this year and I do well as an individual and I really prove myself that I'm a damn good player, then I feel like it's just kind of like a slap in the face to all the people that didn't think I was good enough. Like it's just kind of like a slap in the face to all the people that didn't think I was good enough or didn't want me for their team, didn't want to start me, didn't want to give me a chance, you know? And that's exactly what I'm going to do with Golden Guardians.
And we've upgraded her with a sonic shield.
Impressive.
There is one more thing.
Ah, Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. With the Drive Safe and Save app, you'll save up to 30% for being a safe driver. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's good to have you back here for Game 3 of the day. FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians, where we're turning to the bot lane. FlyQuest support Ignar has recently faced some criticism. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, the problems that they're having in the bot lane between Mash and Turtle both having weak laning stats, his propensity to roam, and even Vulcan had said publicly that, you know, he thinks Ignar is always kind of looking for that hero flank, the highlight play, and sometimes that can come at the cost of some of the more standard and traditional moves that you're expecting him to be making.
And there was also Licorice that was mentioning how Ignar, not really about laning phase, all about trying to make sure that he can play those flanks or he can just go for those roams. And the champion pool really, really reflects it. So Ignar mostly playing engaged champions. This has been the better look for FlyQuest when he has agency. And I want to pinpoint that Karma because it looks like, oh yeah, he's playing a lot of Karma, but In the 51 games that Ignar has played professionally this year, he has played 1 game of Karma and 2 of Yuumi. Those are the only 2 enchanters that FlyQuest plays. So already you start to see the identity of these teams being somewhat telegraphed, and that's what they were trying to solve yesterday by making sure that Solo was able to have that counter pick on top, because also PoE falls victim to the same thing where his pool, you kind of know what you're going to be getting into its control mages.
All right, jump back in here, Mark.
I was going to say, I definitely think him having a more unique playstyle is fine. Don't want to make it sound like a criticism of, what Crumbs is talking about, having a lot of initiators and agency. I definitely like Ignar when he has them, but I think there needs to be the time and the place for it, and I think that's something that they can get a little bit better on, of when these roams are happening or when the flanks are going on, versus just being a body in front of your team so that they can walk up in these kinds of situations.
In essence, answer the question I was about to ask, but probably I want to get you in on this conversation because as we've laid out, this very much aligns with the identity of FlyQuest, this champion pool that we're seeing, yet it isn't a champion pool that's represented by many other players professionally currently. So where do you land on the way that FlyQuest is choosing to use Ignar at the moment?
I mean, I really like the Pantheon. It's getting banned now, which is just hilarious. But really, this is kind of the identity that you don't want to really criticize. Like, you don't want to go like, oh, Ignar is an engaged support. We need more flexibility. Let's make him play ranged also. It's like, this is a kind of identity you have for a team. You have an engaged support. Like, you can just lean into it. It's a lot different than, I have a top laner who can only play aggressive. Like, that's the kind of style you have to get away from. But if your support's an engage, double down, go in that. The one Karma game, don't worry about that. Like, keep picking Pantheon and Blitz and these things that can make stuff happen. 'Cause it just makes the game so much easier.
Coming right back to you then, Prolly, on the addition, or rather re-addition of Wild Turtle to the lineup alongside Ignar. Wild Turtle is typically, in my brain, a more aggressive style AD carry. So do you feel like this is the proper change here now on the back half of the split with a lot less time to make mistakes?
Yeah, I really like Turtle is the opposite of a KDA player, where if he can win a fight by jumping in and one-shotting someone, he's going to take that chance, even if it's not 100%. He probably would still take a 50-50, like, I die or you die. So having a support who's, being able to play these kind of weird champions, I'm sure is fun for Turtle because they have a lot of potential kill in the lane. And then as the game progresses, I'm sure the way Ignar plays, like, Turtle's just like, yeah, you're going in. I'm watching you. I'm right behind you.
Well, as we take a cold, hard look at FlyQuest, we, of course, have to do the same for their opponents. We just had that little bit of a piece around Damonte and the way that he has stepped up for the roster, but so much of the story around this team has been Closer as the star, and the supporting cast. So I want to talk a little bit about some of those members of the supporting cast.
Yeah, I mean, FBI and Damonte are two that jump out to me as people who have been stepping up. Damonte, of course, in the mid lane, playing the more supportive style, running all over the map, has been really impressive. FBI, just in terms of raw laning power, and also his contributions in team fights have been super impressive, and Damonte has been stepping up as well.
Yeah, I like that he's been stepping up in conjunction with Closer. It's really just trying to make sure that the jungler has a best of time as possible, and I think the reason why so many teams are picking this up is because they're seeing the success that Cloud9 has when they're able to play this jungle-focused style, and so other teams that are trying to reach that same level see their success. They're saying, well, if we've got a jungler that can get away with this, how does our mid laner have to play in order to facilitate him most? And I think that Monte is running away with it, playing more TF than anyone else and really trying to have those Galio games, or even Alessandra, that can just allow those very easy gank setups so that your jungler just can come in and clean up those kills.
Playing more TF than anyone else, also playing more hide and seek than anyone else, probably. Let's talk about Damonte and his use of vision and hiding techniques.
Yeah, so they see him clearing bot right now, so Phoenix and Viper are searching for Damonte, and if you can see in the bottom right, he just dips behind that lip, behind the rock, so he actually does not get seen, and at this point, Dig is like, I guess he reset. He's probably looking, to flank somewhere else, and he just gets the flash W onto the Cog Lulu, so Dignitas's teamfight is based around Cog Lulu, and Damonte playing this little hide-and-seek game was so impressive because this was a game for 20 minutes. There was no kills. It was literally you farm, I farm. You farm, I farm. You base, I base. You base, I base. And it was just so boring. I was falling asleep, and then Damonte is like, I'm just going to play hide-and-seek. But normally, I would say the hider doesn't attack the seeker, so maybe that's a little bit of a twist on the game for him.
I would say overall, though, Damonte is one of the better mids at finding flanks. It's not a skill set that mids have to hone too much, especially if you're coming from the older era where you're playing a lot of control mages. The amount of times you need to flank on a Galio on a mid is a newer skill set, within more of the last 2 or 3 years, and he's really good at it. Same with the Kiana games. Even his Lissandra games, he's always looking for flanks, even sometimes too much, but I do think it's one of his best strengths is being able to set people up with flanks and things like that.
All right, well, those are our thoughts on FlyQuest Golden Guardians. Both teams middling in the standings, looking to improve. We're heading into the game with Kobe and Captain Flowers.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Let's get into it. Game number 3 of the day. FlyQuest Golden Guardians. FlyQuest impressing everybody last night, taking down TL with a little bit of the red side pick 5 Renekton 8th wonder of the world. And Golden Guardians coming in with some Tanner time. Hopefully this is a spicy one.
Solo just hulked out on Team Liquid. Absolutely ripped them a new one with that Renekton last pick. This time around, FlyQuest are on blue side, so they cannot guarantee themselves counter pick, and Golden Guardians will have that luxury. But it's definitely something they have to keep in the backs of their minds. For a long time, we've been talking about the strength of Solo ever since he joined FlyQuest, boosting them up to being one of the top tier LCS teams. So far, very standard bans. I would say also be kind of worried about the Galio in the hands of Damonte. Twisted Fate is pretty much permaban, but a lot of these laners that like to push and roam, either Galio or Echo, those types of things, play right into the Golden Guardian style, whereas FlyQuest are much more resource heavy, stack up Power of Evil, and have them carry some fights later on.
TF, Olaf, Karma, Orianna, Trundle, Pantheon, all banned away. Set, once again, your first pick. No AD carry focus here in the bans. We'll see if we continue to see that Xayah priority from the first couple of games, or if we go back to the Ezreal and Aphelios days. Galio locked in, as you exclaimed, and Volibear will be right next to him. We got a couple big meatballs here to kick things off for the Golden Guardians.
Yep, no surprises on the side of Golden Guardians. They had been sticking to this style, and then they veered off a little bit when they had their week of Lissandra, I like to call it, where they even meme about it. Inero and the players are like, Lissandra looks good here.
Yeah,
it did not. Yeah, it did not. Even though theoretically, right, that champion is a similar style. You want to push the lane, you want to roam, you want to create plays. But the Galio here is going to be, top 2 played for Damonte once again, trying to roam around, create those plays. And like I said, true to their style, FlyQuest, again, resource heavy. They want to stack up Power of Evil for later on. Aphelios, Azir, we've seen this combination over and over and over and over for the late game carries. Meanwhile, you mentioned Solo. They did use it as a little bit of a bait, kind of flex pick with the first pick set earlier on, and then switched it into the Renekton, so they could do that again, but it still is one of his best champions for topside too.
2 big late game hyper carries here for FlyQuest.
And the Renekton!
Ezreal locked in for Golden Guardians, so that matchup that we've seen so many times before will be seen again here this game. None of that new age tech, no new Xayah picks coming into this 3rd game of the day. We're going to stick to old reliable. The Renekton is banned away. The Jace is banned away. Really trying to keep Solo off of these champions that can really slam a lane. As Bard is banned out, Camille also banned out by FlyQuest, and the pick from the Golden Guardians is Kennen. Interestingly enough, it's Golden Guardians saving their support for the final pick here.
I love Kennen Galio. FlyQuest were already thinking along that route with their Camille ban. They don't want the Hextech Ultimatum into Galio combination, but I absolutely love Galio Kennen as well, because it gives the Kennen so much more confidence. You can even get in there and go for the big Kennen flanks before you've even completed your Zhonyas. Sometimes with that much threat, it allows the Kennen to just build straight damage. Thereby, your ultimate does more damage, you get to play more offensively, and because you have Galio following up with the stun and crowd control, you don't have to drop as much money in utility and safety sometimes. You still can do both, obviously, but it gives you that route to try and play a little bit harder, a little bit quicker. Meanwhile, this is the same old standard we have seen from FlyQuest from day one. All the late game here. They even throw in the last pick Ornn to give the Ornn item upgrades. Ignar on his most played champion, the Rakan, once again looking for the flanks and scaling up for FlyQuest.
Yep, With Ornn locked in for FlyQuest, it means Set is 100% going into the jungle there with Santorin. So we're going to have two big beefy boys in Set and Volibear facing off there, prowling around the jungle, as the final pick of the draft for the Golden Guardians is a Nautilus. So even more CC, more initiation for this team. I really like this pick because the usage of the ulti can guarantee the follow-up is going to be here, the fight is going to be here. It lets Volley and Galio and Kennen all jump in there. I think this is a solid way to round out the draft here for them.
Yep, this is going to be a race against the clock. And I kind of like watching games that are like this. FlyQuest have looked their best when they're playing the clock side of it, playing the scaling side.
You are the clock.
We are the clock. Try and do something. See what happens in 15, 20, 25 minutes later on. And Golden Guardians are the ones that are trying to break that clock. They've got the Volibear jungle. They have the Galio combination coming from the mid lane. Damonte trying to follow up the Volibear every time with the ultimate. You got to create the plays, keep throwing those plays at the clock, make it shatter, stack up your dragons to ensure that you can win the game before you have to face Fedefelio, Sazir, stacking themselves behind an Ornn engage.
Yep, clock is ticking. When you see those three champions on the same side, it means that you had best be making some early plays, making them succeed, and the Golden Guardians want to do just that. Remember, in the Golden Guardians versus Dignitas game last week, where Dignitas failed to respond to anything the Golden Guardians did, it was not until after the 20-minute mark that we saw First Blood. It was the only fight outside of the very ending fight to end the game where we saw some PvP. And it was Damonte coming around from the flank with the taunt on the Galio, just like the analyst desk was talking about, that made that happen. Damonte and finding flanks. The desk talked about it. They're saying he's got this skill set. It comes from the Kiana days. It's sort of how this guy's made his name. And I'd love to see this Galio make some big moves in this one too.
Yeah, he was born in the world of flanks, molded by it, and we'll see if he can get him off here once again. I would say that Golden Guardians don't have to worry super early about getting outscaled. They give up plenty of time to work with, right? Ezreal is at his best on 2 core items. Galio and Kennen need those extra levels, get their ultimates to be able to follow up closer and layer that CC. So it's really like a strong mid game when you're trying to blow it wide open. Until then, hyper focus on closer, on the Volibear. He's gone with the earlier focused rune, press the attack. This is my favorite for jungle because it gives you that burst damage. Your W does count as stacking up one proc of the press the attack, so you can get really good trades off just within the stun. Go in with the stun auto, get your W slow on them, and the E slow plus your W, and then one more to get a big chunk of your opponents. It allows him to play a lot more aggressively, even though Volibear did get slight attack speed nerfs and healing nerfs in the jungle.
Talking about keystones, you can see a spell book on both of your top laners here this time around. All 4 solo laners also rocking the TP. Neither AD carry opting for it. Instead, both of them wanting the combat power of the heal. So we will see pretty even presence overall in this game in terms of what everybody's bringing with the loadouts. Phase Rush on the set, pretty common stuff these days. I mean, Phase Rush has just been so powerful. Recently, we've seen so many champions taking it all over the Rift. So not really surprised to see it on him here again in this game. Both junglers are on the bottom side of the map, though, as the Scuttle Crabs will soon be spawning. So we might get some action here around this bottom side.
And still continuing on the keystones, there's only slight deviation with Galios. A lot of them do like Summoner Spellbook and trying to get the most out of rotating Summoner spells with the Nimbus Cloak, but Phase Rush, you get so much versatility when you hit your EQ autos to be able to move once you are channeling your taunt for yourself to maneuver into a better spot. And sometimes it's kind of hard to do because when you're facing Azir, Ornn, and even Set, there's a lot to get around. So Damonte's got a lot of mobility for himself on this Galio to try and find those good flanks, find those good taunts for himself. Closer coming over here to defend against the dive. rather than going down to take away enemy Krugs, and Santorin will be able to get out with the stealings.
Yep, and Santorin's camps are also respawning on this top side here, so if he wants to just continue this farming pattern and reach maximum efficiency, he can go right back towards the Gromp and start punching the snot out of that one too, just like Set likes to do. So easy stuff here early on in the jungle for Santorin. It's one crab each for the junglers here. Talked about how we might see him collide there in the bottom half of the map, but Santorin opted to go for the top side scuttle instead. He finding a dredge line onto Ignar's Recon. But FBI can follow that one up with a nice Mystic shot there, just barely passing by the hitbox of Wild Turtle to make sure they get maximum damage. That was a really, really good trade for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Golden Guardians just slapping them around there. The perfect opportunity to go for that engage for Huhi because they had stacked a minion wave, multiple ranged minions. They're dealing damage with them as he finds the dredge line onto the squishy Ignar. No return damage almost from FlyQuest, and both Turtle and Ignar take big chunks. So that's going to attract junglers anytime you get a trade that.
There's blood in the water. They can just smell it. But
health potions have started to chug.
Closer's seeing if there's a chance to go for something down here. Hui flashes for the dredge line, but an immediate flash away from Wild Turtle. Means the Golden Guardians will not find themselves any sort of kill. However, taking out Aphelios' flash and heal, pretty big deal here for the Golden Guardians. We'll see if Closer wants to make another move, but Santorin is hanging around for an honest 3v3. The Golden Guardians try it again, but there we go. Ignar's jumping in, and now Huhi's in some trouble. Santorin joining the fight means that support is gone. First blood over to FlyQuest jungler. There are so many teleports coming in.
FlyQuest assemble! Everybody bottom lane!
That was like a Power Rangers all beaming into the location to fight the bad guy, man. That was crazy.
Well, you get all 5 of them. The Captain Planet as well. Everybody's beaming over. And the reset will go to Golden Guardians getting Hanser a good recall and the Kennen pushing in, but FlyQuest do get the first blood, do get that reward. In exchange, because of the reset though, Golden Guardians will get Dragon, first Dragon plus Hanser got to shove the wave all the way in on the Kennen. It's going to have more harassment now. So honestly, not that bad of a trade for Golden Guardians. You give up 1 kill that is indeed first blood, but a lot of the times, teams will even think of sacrificing one champion's life for Dragonsteel later on. So we have to get that one. Huhi is the reason because he went in as soon as they went for the fight with Ignar and Wild Turtle, whereas Closer was looking at Santorin. Actually saw Santorin peek his head out of the tri-brush first, and Closer was looking like he was going to back off, but as soon as Huhi went in, they do get the collapse, and the extra teleport comes through from FlyQuest.
That's the bad part about being the dude who's got to start everything off. You can also be the dude who finds yourself in the middle of a real bad situation if somebody shows up to crash the party. But Santorin will be happy to get on the board nice and early, as we could see the 1v1 coming through here in the top lane, but the CC from Hanser allows him to get away, even sidestepping the back end of that ulti from the Ornn. So no real kill threat up here, and with the Ornn ulti on cooldown now for quite a while, the early levels have a pretty significant timer on that one. Hanser's feeling plenty safe up here.
Yeah, he feels just fine. Solo also just going to continue to build his own items, get your sustain out of the river with your honey fruit. It's like a mini objective for Ornn. Honey fruit in the river, always going to check because that's the only thing you lack is looking for more sustain. Closer does get through. Stun from Hanser.
Oh, here we go. Hanser's ulti means Closer can get into the fight. Solo tries to flash away, but the bear don't care. Hanser picks up the kill.
Yeah, like when Closer went right for the ward, and Hanser's like, I got this set up completely, double stuns here. Let's finish this guy off. Solo goes down. He's not going to have a teleport because even though he has Summer Spellbook, he had used his teleport previously to the bottom side of the map. He's going to have a long walk back. That is a very valuable gank for Golden Guardians. FlyQuest are trying to get their resources here in time, and it looks like the walk back from Ornn might get there because they're delaying on the eyeball procs here for Rifttrail.
Wow, they actually stop it there. Good stuff from FlyQuest, but the fight's not over just yet. Ignar has arrived. No level 6 on this recon. Top laners don't have their ultis here ready to go either, but the damage coming in from Power of Evil will shred Damonte asunder. Closer's going to be the next one who's targeted. Santorin making sure he tanks up there on the front lines and heads back to grab that Rift Herald. Not only do FlyQuest punish the Golden Guardians and stop them from taking the Rift Herald, they secure it for themselves. They take down 2 players from GG. That could not have gone better for the FlyQuest boys.
1,000 points to whatever house Santorin is from. He clapped Damonte
The house of the
there.
jungle, baby.
The house jungle. Look at this clap from Santorin. He's messing around with the Rift Herald here, pulls in Damonte. They get the full combo with Ignar. Immediately Power of Evil goes in. They burst him down, and then Santorin ults him over to finish off Damonte. Takes Closer to dunk him on top of his teammate. Finishes off the punch. FlyQuest even got the last hit on the Rift Herald to boot. So as soon as we are talking about such a valuable gank topside for Golden Guardians, because Rift Herald does take so long to take, early stages in the game, it's kind of gated by the timer on the eyeball opening, which can only be sped up by auto-ing faster. It's plenty enough time for FlyQuest to reset. They fight him off, and Santorin plus Power of Evil really combined for some valuable kills there on the mid and jungle.
Yeah, I love seeing those kills with the set ulti. The ability is just so powerful. Throw him through the air, slam him into the river.
Slam the big old bear on top of his head.
Yeah. How bad would that hurt? Getting a bear suplexed on top of you, dude.
A space bear at that.
Oh yeah, we got to remember it's the space volley bear skin. Or wait, is he Arctic Ops or something like that? He's a
okay, maybe that one's it. I can't really tell. Looks kind of like an astronaut.
He's some sort of astronaut mountain bear. That's what we're gonna go with here. As the 1v1 between the top laners goes off, and Haunter uses his Ignite from his Summoner Spellbook to make sure he wins the trade. But that did cost his ulti, and Solo still has his ready to go.
You know, I look kind of dumb now thinking that it's an astronaut skin because there's no helmet on it. That would be a terrible, terrible astronaut skin to not have a helmet in your suit. So I'm going to go ahead
Flowers,
and...
Kobe, and Riot Games do not endorse trying to be an astronaut and going into space without your helmet. Please do not do this. We will not be legally liable or responsible for whatever happens to you when your head explodes because of the lack of pressure. Wear your helmet.
The helmet's going to be the first part that you design, honestly.
Yeah, you're really going to need that.
I'm gonna take the L on that one. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Okay, so we're done with Astronaut Volibear. He is most definitely Arctic Explorer Volibear. Yeah. And Santorin is most definitely taking down this Drake. So there we go. 3 Ocean Rifts in a row. But we don't have one team taking the first 2 this time around. So no fast stack on the Ocean Soul here. As here comes Closer's initiation onto the turret. The turret shots are disabled. The power of the Volibear ulti means easy money there for the Golden Guardians. Closer paying attention to this top side of the map, trying to help Haunter out. As Shelly summoned up in the bottom lane by FlyQuest. They have this turret nearly down already. Need a little bit more damage, and they'll finish that one off. Aphelios' ulti doesn't find anybody. Ignar trying to go in there with the quickness. A lot of damage down at a Wild Turtle, but good control of Huhi. Means FlyQuest are the ones who come out on top there in the fight. They'll take first turret, and they'll take the free kill.
Yeah, Turtle actually nailed him with the Moonlight there. Barely enough to get the Gravitum. Got the root, and that caused Huhi to turn back around. Again, the sacrificial Nautilus. Like you're saying, Nautilus is mostly a one-way champion, and Huhi valiantly wanted to go in, sacrifice himself for FBI. Keep the Ezreal alive, which honestly is worth, because the more time you have FBI out there stacking the tier for his Muramana transformation, farming up, proccing the call, looking for his 2-item power spike, is going to be the big goal for them. In the end, FlyQuest get the bigger cash in, obviously, take the whole turret, get the first turret bonus gold and local gold, all cleaned up, allowing them for an easy rotation. Once you take that bottom side, to switch Wild Turtle up to the top side. Throw your pressure at those plates. They've got 30 seconds to work with, and Solo can easily handle bottom by himself.
Absolutely. I want to see the replay of that last fight as the turret went down, too. I thought it looked like Wild Turtle's ulti barely missed everybody, but just barely catching Huhi to supply that kill means Turtle's in a great spot now. 1-0-1 here on the Aphelios. It's He's got even farm with the Ezreal. I talked about in Champion Select how these are hyper carries, man. Aphelios and Azir, if we get to the late game, if we get to 35 minutes and it's a pretty even game state, all of a sudden life's going to look really difficult for the Golden Guardians as Ignar is just doing something in this lane, man. He's partying.
Yeah, they are well aware that multiple members of Golden Guardians could be in there. And that is just easily scanning the map. If you look from FlyQuest perspective, so many Golden Guardians members were missing, and they had not shown anybody on bottom half there to match solo yet until, you know, they finally see Haunter head up. Wild Turtle and Ignar play intelligently. They play it safely, just standing in front of the minions, using the sniper gun to get the extra CS there. So good job playing safe after such a big victory on the bomb side. And here's what I was talking about. Just gets the graviton root, and then he's like, not on my watch, even though FBI also flashed away, flash healed by FBI. So, you know, his heart is in the right place, but FBI maybe say, I got flash.
His heart's in the right place, but his body's in the ground. That's not exactly where you want to find yourself these days.
True.
It looks like we barely see the support from FlyQuest get himself out of a dangerous spot there against the Golden Guardians. Shelly 2 has spawned here in the northern part of the river. She's back to avenge her fallen cousin. And Golden Guardians are seeing if maybe they can make this one go better than the previous one did. Ignar still has flash and ulti ready to go. FlyQuest want to team fight this one just like last time. Santorin ready with the blast cone. Turtle going to position himself well to make sure he doesn't take that blast cone over too. Ignar going in, trying to find an opportunity. Santorin having to flash away. Here comes Haunter. He's looking for the damage onto everybody, and Santorin will be shut down. FlyQuest tries to repeat their previous success, but Golden Guardians collapses in force. They use the power of their team nice and early to take down the enemy jungler and secure the objective here for themselves. FlyQuest will gain nothing in retaliation, and that's a big win there for the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Rift Out number 2 going over to their hands as well. They need it desperately. They have been unable to do much damage to any of these turrets to try and open up the map, which is critical when your team hinges on flanks. They have to get, you know, Volibear jumping in there, Kennen to find flanks so that you get a good spot for the Galio ultimate. Once again, like we talked about yesterday, the Santorin illustrated how for a set you can kind of sacrifice yourself and use his ultimate to dunk Haunter out and away from the team fight, and then, you know, Galio ultimate was used on that area too, so the rest of FlyQuest dispersed, but because Santorin went in first, he went down anyway, and with no jungler, easy objective there for the Golden Guardians, bringing the gold really close back to even, and then if they can get a turret, whoa, Haunter face checks.
Solo? Oh no, man. Ornn's a pretty tanky boy, but is he tanky enough to survive this one? Who he's gonna say no? And Demonte lets loose the winds of war as Haunter's about to die here in the back line. Ignar and Wild Turtle chasing after him, but the Kennen gets away with sub 100 HP as the bottom lane of FlyQuest has to retreat. Haunter barely keeping himself alive in that situation as Golden Guardians try to secure this Scuttle Crab here. Closer looking for the opportunity, but considering FlyQuest has control over the bottom side river, they can't quite do it. And now, even though Golden Guardians got the pick, because their own top laner is so low, they can't go after the Drake right now. And one thing I want to point out, Kobe, as we're waiting for this Drake fight, this one's, now correct me if I'm wrong, but this one's for my boy LS. That Morello Nomicon is a sin. There is no big healing on the side of FlyQuest right now that needs to negate. And now it's Golden Guardians who have found themselves a kill onto Wild Turtle. With the enemy 80 carry down, FlyQuest must concede this objective. It is Golden Guardians taking control of the bottom side of the river. It is Golden Guardians grabbing their second Drake of the game. Meanwhile, Shelly's just putting in some work on the tier 1 in the mid lane. Good plays coming out from GG.
Flowers, you turn my eyes towards the items for 1 second, and Turtle gets wiped from the map.
In that 1 second. Yeah.
How did he get there? You distracted me with your sleight of hand looking at the Morello Domicon.
Yes.
Oh, look over here. Poof, Turtle is gone. Holy moly. All the ultimates again. Actually, it was just Galio there down from Demonte. Turtle just got annihilated, leading to the second Dragon of Golden Guardians. I honestly am going to have to take a look at the replay. But to answer the attempted question that you had there, yeah, there is definitely not a lot of healing on the side of FlyQuest. It is going to be an Ocean Soul, but currently Golden Guardians are actually positioned in a better spot to get the Soul, not only because they already have 2 dragons, but this is the mid game where their comp really is spiking. They're about to get 2-item power spike for Ezreal. FBI is actually going the Trinity Force route for the higher damage rather than the Iceborne Gauntlet. The higher damage, it also gives you move speed because of the Phage component, so allows you a little bit more ability to dodge away from stuff like Ornn Ultimate or keep your range on the Rakan. And gonna have to keep his eyes open for that. But yeah, the only big healing I would point to would probably be like Aphelios Red Gun or something like that, and that's definitely not worth it by itself. So here's how we started. Oh, he's got the Ocean Dragon on him. And Closer's got his eyeballs right on Turtle. I see you over there. The Ocean Dragon slow. Just, oh my goodness. Annihilated.
There was no way out of that one except in a casket. He was stuck, man. He had a rock in front of him. He had FlyQuest, or he had Golden Guardians to the left of him, Golden Guardians to the north of him, and an Ocean Drake just smacking him over and over again off there to the right. That was the worst possible spot to get caught in, but FlyQuest will now go back to pushing out this top side. Santorin shadowing Power of Evil. The gold dead even here between the teams. 4 kills to 5. FlyQuest critically with a 2-turret advantage. Golden Guardians still yet to take a single turret from their opponents despite getting that second Shelly. As Damonte gets swooped back, and now he's pulled back, and now he's beaten down. Santorin takes the kill credit as mid lane the tier 1 turret falls.
Zed is just so fun to watch, actually. With
He is.
The
He
punches, visceral E, pulling things back, the dunk.
Even his auto attacks, just punch, 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 punch.
I can visualize you doing that right now.
I just did the animation.
For viewers that don't know, like Flowers actually does that when he casts as he gets amped up. He starts like air boxing for himself. Power of Evil will take down the second outer tower on top of the kill onto Damonte.
I'm immersing myself in the moment. It's very important to the
Set cosplay from Flowers when
the game. No. There's I too many comments from Weebs if I do that. We're not doing that. But back to the set in this game, you can see that Santorin is having himself a wonderful game. 100% kill participation. Dead Man's Plate already completed. This is the heart of the build for these jungle sets where they want to make sure that they're constantly putting themselves in a spot to get the positions and get the flanks for those big body slams there with the ulti. And I just love to see it. Negatron Cloak in the inventory now. Wants to make sure he's not just getting cut up by the magic damage of the Galio and the Kinnan when he goes into these fights. I like the choice.
Yeah, and remember, a big objective of him specifically in the upcoming fights is going to revolve around magic resist because he's going to be the one running at Haunter to deny the engage. He's got a spot Haunter. You constantly have to track where's the Kennen going to try and flank from, and then you set ult the Kennen out from the combo, so even though the Galio ult will channel there and give you the knockup, you don't have the layered AoE damage on top of it, and Set's one of his best roles is Combo Breaker.
Golden Guardians with control over the river right now with 45 seconds until the next Drake spawns. If they take this one, it will put them at soul point and force a response from FlyQuest for the rest of the game. FlyQuest would love to make sure that's not their reality, but can they get into this river? Haunter and Solo both located in the bottom lane. Solo with a teleport equipped. Teleports also up on both mid laners here. Haunter has a heal from his Summoner's Spellbook, so he needs to be in position at the beginning of the fight. Solo can join a little bit late. True Shot Barrage fired off. Only finds Ignar and Santorin and does pretty much no damage. So Ezreal
Proc the Guardian!
Not a lot of value right there, but hey, the Mystic Shot afterwards took about 25% of Ignar's HP, so not all is lost there on the poke from FBI. FlyQuest moving forward. It's Santorin as the point man, ready to soak up those skill shots. You can see top laners have rotated over as well. Solo waiting on the backside of this fight. On the other side of the terrain, ready to sound off the Ornn Horn. Closer's already in the pit.